Freeholders for February 9, 2012. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ladies and gentlemen, please, a moment of silence. Please remember our troops. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take the roll call in a moment, but Freeholder Gary Rich is on the telephone, so he will be participating in the voting session this evening. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
This meeting is being held in compliance with the provisions of Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, known as the Open Public Meetings Act. Notice of this meeting was furnished to the county newspapers and posted in the Hall of Records. Freeholder Damaso. Here. Freeholder Rich.
Here.
Freeholder Burry.
Here.
Freeholder Arnone.
Here.
Director Curley.
Here. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, at this point, anyone who would like to discuss an agenda item, please step forth, identify yourself, and say what's on your mind. Agenda items only. Yes, Ray Clonicus.
Ray Clonicus, Monmouth, New Jersey. I go to item 8 again, resolution setting time and place of meetings of the Board of Chosen Freeholders from March through December 2012. I notice you have the time 7 o'clock at night, regardless of where you're having it. And I believe 1 or 2 in the afternoon. I'm wondering if you could change your regular night meeting to 8 o'clock. I know my township committee meeting starts at 8, and speaking with other people, they also have about the same time, 8 o'clock, because they recognize people come home from work, they have to eat, they have to commute. By the time they can really get to a meeting, 8 o'clock is reasonable, I would think. Also, your workshop meeting should be the day prior. It could be here, but it should be 8 o'clock, not 2 o'clock or 1 o'clock in the afternoon when most people are at work. So I'm wondering if you could make those changes at least with regard to your schedule for this coming year. 8 o'clock at night for the regular meeting, whether it's here or out of town, and 8 o'clock for the work session the day prior to your regular meeting. I think that's a reasonable request.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Good evening, Ellen.
Hello there. My name is Linda Johnson. I'm from Neptune, New Jersey. And in regard to Resolution 8, is Neptune one of the cities that you're going to have a meeting this year? What's the date?
I knew you would be excited.
Thank you.
It is June 28th.
June 20th? Thank you very much. Thank you.
No problem.
No. Anyone else? Any agenda item comments, thoughts? Going once, going twice. Okay. Madam Clerk, we move on to the consent agenda.
This evening, we're using the consent form of agenda. If there's any, I have 2 items which are pulled right now. If there's anything else you'd like pulled, please let me know now.
Freeholders?
Okay.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the consent agenda this afternoon, we met in a workshop session, and we banter about each and every resolution. They're discussed sometimes firmly and harshly, but they are discussed, there's no doubt. So we'll be moving ahead with the consent agenda at this juncture. Madam Clerk.
Item 6, moved by Freeholder Arnone, seconded by Freeholder Burry. Freeholder Damaso.
Yes.
Item 6.
Oh, abstain, sorry.
Thank you. Freeholder Rich.
Yes.
No, you
have to abstain.
Oh, I'm sorry, abstain.
Freeholder Burry. Yes. Freeholder Arnone.
Yes.
Director Curley.
Yes.
Items 7 and Damaso.
Item 11?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Freeholder Rich.
Yes.
Freeholder Murray.
Yes.
Freeholder Arnone.
Yes.
Director Curley.
Yes.
Items 12 through 19, moved by Freeholder Arnone, seconded by Freeholder Murray. Freeholder Damaso.
Yes.
Freeholder Rich.
Yes.
Freeholder Murray.
Yes.
Freeholder Arnone.
Yes.
Director Curley.
Yes.
Items 20 and 21, moved by Freeholder Rich, seconded by Freeholder Damaso. Freeholder Damaso.
Yes.
Freeholder Rich.
Yes.
Freeholder Murray.
Yes.
Freeholder Arnone.
Yes.
Director Curley.
Yes.
Items 22 through 37 with the exception of items 33 and 35. Moved by Freeholder Murray, seconded by Freeholder Arnone. Freeholder Damaso.
Yes.
Freeholder Rich.
Yes.
Freeholder Murray.
Yes.
Freeholder Arnone.
Yes.
Director Curley.
Yes.
Items 33 and 35. Moved by Freeholder Damaso, seconded by Freeholder Murray. Freeholder Damaso.
Yes.
Freeholder Rich.
Abstain on number 33, on item 33
And 35, I believe, sir.
And
and
30.
35.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Freeholder Murray.
Yes.
Freeholder Arnone.
Yes.
Director Curley.
Yes.
Item 38, payment of bills. Moved by Freeholder Rich, seconded by Freeholder Damaso. This evening, we will be paying bills in the amount of $7,036,362.79 for salaries and wages, and $37,281,906.87 for total other expenses. Freeholder Damaso.
Yes, with the exception of any bills to Meridian or welfare, I abstain.
Thank you. Freeholder Rich.
Yes, on any item except 33 and 35.
No.
For Dell.
No, except for Dell.
Except for now, sorry.
Thank you. Freeholder Murray.
Yes.
Freeholder Arnone.
Yes, abstain for all bills pertaining to PRC.
Thank you. Director Curley.
Yes.
Thank you. That's all I have, Director.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. At this juncture, we have many of our residents and employees from the John L. Montgomery Care Center, and I know that they would like to come to the podium, and we certainly welcome that opportunity now. So please feel free, when you come to the podium, identify yourself, and please make every attempt to keep your comments within a 5-minute framework. I know that's hard.
That's fine. All right, okay.
Whatever it is. Who wants to speak? The editor? The editor wants to speak?
You're famous, Mike.
Oh, boy.
I enjoyed your publication very much.
Hi, members of the board, President Freeholders. My name is Mike Ryan. I am a relatively new resident of John L. Montgomery. I was very surprised and very happy so when I came to John L. Montgomery. The quality of care there is absolutely excellent. I did come there from a privatized nursing home, and I was very surprised. We have an excellent staff there, recreation certainly, and of course the therapy staff there is absolutely wonderful. Please keep it going. You guys have really put together an excellent great staff. And I'd like to thank them for challenging me to do things such as the daily announcements and putting together their newsletter. I've been actively involved in public speaking and public things since I was in college. I sat on our college council for Stockton's. I don't know how many of you know this, but Richard Stockton State College. I was one of the first students to go through. And as I said, you guys have done a wonderful job at John L. Montgomery. I think John L. Montgomery is a very, very major and very fortunate part of your community. I'd just like to thank you guys. Please keep us open. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike. You are extremely articulate. You can tell you certainly have a public speaking background. Thank you very much for being here. Anyone else that would like to speak? Okay, any of the employees would like to speak from John L. Montgomery? Okay? Good evening, Pamela.
I thank you. I thank you every single guy. And trust me, I got a lot. You're doing a service not only to me, not only to my members, but to them. People that normal nursing homes wouldn't give them the time of day, wouldn't give them the service that they need. We know we give it to them. You've seen that we give it to them. I thank you on behalf of all our members at John L. Montgomery and all our residents. And we will work with you any kind of way possible to keep it going forever, if possible. Thank you so much. Mr. Curley, he's still with me.
I'll be there, but you know something? I was involved in this decision today also.
I know you.
So I appreciate your service to the county, certainly to the community of John L. Montgomery, and please keep up the good work. I know you will.
We will. Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Pamela.
We're not going away.
Thanks.
I would like to say on behalf of our administrator for not being here, I'm pretty sure he thanks you as well.
Sure she does.
Does a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kim.
Anyone?
Can I just
Yes,
say one
absolutely.
thing? The one thing that comes across when you visit the John L. Montgomery is that you're family. And it's very evident, that feeling, would you say, Serena?
Absolutely.
We were there together, and that feeling of togetherness, be it staff, be it one of your residents, be it your administrator. You're all together. And it's extremely important, it really is. So I just want to thank you for what you do.
Thank you all for being here.
Thank you. I feel the same way, and I obviously visited a few months back and with Freeholder Barry, feel the same way, and I thank you too.
Anyone else from John L. Montgomery? All right, ladies and gentlemen, we will reverse our schedule a little bit tonight. Rather than have freeholder comments, we'll have comments from the public because we want to hear everyone tonight, what's on your mind. It's important for you to come out and let us know exactly what you're thinking. And we appreciate it immensely. First on our list, we have a sign-in list, and of course, once we complete the list, we'll open it up to the floor, anyone that wants to step forward. But Ray Kalonikis is first.
I asked you at the previous meeting if you would, since you weren't going to pass a resolution asking the governor to state the right of the people to vote on school budgets, I asked you if you would put forth a letter to the governor and whether or not you would also take that letter and use it as an op-ed or a letter to the editor to all the media. I received a copy of it today. I took note of the fact that it wasn't addressed as an op-ed or a letter to the editor. Is there any reason?
Yes, Ray, it was a letter addressed to the governor.
Yes.
And it was signed by our legal counsel. And we've taken the responsibility of looking into what your discussion about the 2% cap. And that is obviously not an op-ed piece. It was not intended to be an op-ed piece. The publicity is not of concern. We're looking to get action right.
Well, it's important that the public understands that you're putting forward this request. By using it as a letter to the editor or an op-ed piece, you're letting the public know you're putting forth this particular action. We'll talk more about this in the future. The only other comment I would like to make in view of what the Asbury Park Press did as a editorial today and what took place in California, I believe yesterday, in which the proposition, was it 8, was overturned more or less by the courts in California allowing for gay marriage. The only thing I'd like to say with regard to that is I don't think it's a matter of equality. I do not think it's a matter of civil rights. I think it's a matter of simply misuse of human sexuality. And the only reason I say that, because it's an argument that I present to some people at times that's not widely understood by the general public. It was said 2,000 years ago, at least it was attributed to a person, with what measure you measure, it shall be measured to you. If you engage in sex with the same sex, the concept of with what measure it shall be measured to you, because people often ask the question, if there is a God of love and justice, how is it a person is born with this drive within them? But if you take the understanding that in some previous lifetime, within the human condition, you had or engaged in sex with the same sex, and you understand this concept of with what measure you measure, it shall be measured to you, then you guarantee being born with the sex drive for the same sex in a future lifetime. I realize this is relatively new and not understood, but if you understand that in any degree whatsoever, then you realize gay sex essentially is a misuse of human sexuality, and you're born the way you're born. And this is not to say that the person is not equal to others in terms of their intrinsic value. They are. Everyone is equal. But it's a case of why you are what you are. And then the question is, how do you deal with it? And that's not to be discussed within 5 minutes here. But I think it's important to understand it's not a matter of equal rights. It's a matter of misuse of one's human sexuality, and there's a price that's paid. And that's why you're born the way you're born. And now you have to learn how to deal with it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Fred. Thanks for being here. Next on the list is Linda Johnson. Hello again, Linda.
Hello there, how are you?
Good.
I'm here tonight because when I read in the newspaper the issue of rescinding the pay for play, and what I got from the article was that there was like 2 sets of rules supposedly. One was already in place and we felt like this was overstepping or something of the nature. But being living in Monmouth County and the history that this county has had with corruption and politics and things not being fair, I don't understand why you would want to overturn something that would force it to stay in place to let people know that you are really looking out for the citizens and for the monies, that instead of giving the impression that this is a good old boys network. I know you, I'm cutting out $12 on
I think our 2 women on the board would not call it a good old boys network.
Well, by extension, you know exactly, but because when you were allowed to be on this board, it was truly the old guys network. Okay, I didn't get even further down, but I'll just leave that the sex right now. But the issue is, why do you feel that you have to overturn this? Why couldn't you just keep things in place and make it send a message that that type of behavior will not be tolerated? I mean, I understand you said something to the effect that if some people felt it was too stringent, if they didn't know how to deal with certain things. Well, if the law says a certain thing, they just follow the law. Why was it so hard for them to follow the law as written?
Linda, if you could offer your patience, we appreciate it. What we'd like to do is any questions dealing with pay to play, to deal with that after everyone who wants to speak get up, and we'll have responses from the freeholders. And I just want to make sure that everybody gets an opportunity to express themselves. Put yourselves on the record, explain exactly how you think, because that's what we're here to listen to.
So for me, I want to stay tough. I want Monmouth County to be a place that people know you will not come here and be a crook.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, next on the list is JJ Estrada. Hi, Hi, JJ.
You know this is not going to be good. Disappointing you a lot. JJ Mistretta, 506-8 Harding Road, Freehold. I come here with a heavy heart tonight. You know how hard we work, Citizens Campaign, to get pay to play in. And you finally did the right thing after 3 years of fighting for this, to have one of the toughest pay to play laws. And what do? I mean, I'm missing a couple of meetings, and all of a sudden, I don't know whose bright idea this was, that this doesn't work anymore. You don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. If you had a few complaints on paperwork or whatever it is, I'd like to know who it was, how many people complained, and why you couldn't make it more efficient. You don't take something terrific and throw it out. Now you subject us to wielding again. You know the corruption we've had here in this body. You may not have been on when we had the corruption, okay, but how do you do that? I mean, how do you throw it out? Do you think all of a sudden corruption is not here? In the wake of everything that is going on in this country, whether it's Tea Party complaining, whether it's Occupy Wall Street, Citizens United, corruption is from the top to the bottom, right down to our municipalities. How do you dare take something like this and do this? You all need to be ashamed of yourself. And I don't know whose bright idea it was. You all came up together, or one of you suggested this, I don't know. I'd really like to know.
JJ, you're absolutely right. Corruption is out. I don't think anyone here would disagree with the fact that corruption is there. We'll certainly have a comment after everyone speaks.
Well, then I'd like to reserve myself to come back and say something else at the end of your comment.
Next on the list is Heather Taylor. Heather, come on up.
Hello, thank you everyone. My name is Heather Taylor. I'm with the Citizens Campaign. We worked with the Freeholder Board in 2008, and several years before that leading up to its adoption of the pay-to-play law. Frankly, we were quite disappointed when we had one of our members call us the following day after the last Freeholder meeting to let us know that the pay-to-play law was rescinded and instead replaced with a fair and open process. Frankly, we were shocked. This was a sweeping law. It was the strongest one in the state, and the Freeholders, the Monmouth Freeholder Board was commended, and they should be, and it was used as an example in Atlantic County, and most recently last month, Bergen County adopted a very similar law to Monmouth's. But now you've rescinded it and replaced it with the fair and open process. And in the resolution, you said there was a determination that this was more effective. And I don't know how that determination was made. I brought copies to the Freeholder Board. There was a report issued just this September by the State Comptroller's Office. And in it, he said, what a report found is that the fair and open exception is more than just a loophole that weakens the local government pay-to-play law. Qualifying for the fair and open exception returns the local government entity to essentially an unregulated system of contracting that existed before the pay-to-play law, and qualifying is ridiculously easy. That's not the message we want to be sending to Monmouth residents. So tonight we're here, and I know several citizens are here, to ask the Freeholder Board to reinstate the previous policy. If there's confusion or other issues, let's find a more sensible solution than just, as JJ said, throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I think we can work together and come up with a solution, but it starts with putting back in place the strong pay-to-play law. And,
Heather, thanks so much. You're very articulate. Next is Danielle. I don't have a last name here, just...
I think that's me.
Daniel?
I'll pass at this time, thank you.
Yes, sir, thank you. Okay, and the next is a Jay Nicholson, is it? Jay?
I'll speak nothing. I'll pass right
Okay. Anyone else from the public on any subject, pay to play, or whatever's on your mind? Yes.
Good evening. Shelley Kennedy, Atlantic Highlands. I am not here to talk about play. I am here to talk about something that I have mentioned to a few of you before, and this is about the problem we're having in the state with the draft state development and redevelopment plan, and the problem of sustainable development, and how it is impacting us in our lives every day. And it will get worse if we don't do something about it. There will be 6 meetings soon around the state, and the public's input is needed. But more than that, the input of our freeholders at the county level is needed. At every turn in this process, the public has not been involved. Oh yeah, you can send someone an email, but does that really mean you're being heard? Who are the stakeholders, and I'm putting parentheses around that, who were consulted last year about what was going to go into this plan that would affect all of our property rights, everyone in this room, not just me? Is 6 meetings really adequate? I don't think so. Not for this scope, this sweeping scope that we have in the draft state development and redevelopment plan. The plan itself is very ambitious, and it achieves a few good things. But at the same time, it also achieves something very close to complete state-driven control of all our zoning laws, and that we, at the county and municipal level, will not be able to implement anything that doesn't agree with what happens at the state level. This is wrong. This is absolutely wrong. I would suggest, and I ask you with the utmost respect, to consider doing what the RNC recently did and create a resolution condemning what is actually behind this, which is United Nations Agenda 21. This agenda is not made up. It is something that really happened. I have in front of me a document called The Future of Local Agenda 21 in the New Millennium, written by a fellow by the name of J. Gary Lawrence, who was an implementer of sustainable development appointed by Bill Clinton. And this paper clearly shows the link between Agenda 21 and property rights, as well as other conditions and structures of our society, such as education, business, transportation, energy. None of it is out of scope for this very ambitious plan. And it goes back a very long way. Although this is dated 1998, the plans themselves go back as far as the 70s, if you care to do some research. I've also written to Senator Carrillos, who is a senator in my district, and I've asked him to take action with regard to this plan. The action I would ask that you take as freeholders is to protect your citizens' property rights, to work on our behalf, to speak to the planning department, and ask for more input from the public. Ask for a delay in implementation. The governor is the next step. Once the public input is solicited, there is no legislative process. There is no deliberative process. That's it. It goes from the committee to the governor for signature. Is it right that we should all be cut out? I don't think so. I think we need to have a more deliberative process, and I'm asking Senator Carrillos to do just that, to request that this go to the legislature. I'm going to give you a copy of the letter that I'm sending to the senator. So there's 3 things I'd like you to do. Please ask the Office of Planning Advocacy, Honorable Jerry Scharfenberger, Director, for additional meetings. Specifically in Monmouth County, but it could be anywhere in the state, and it should be everywhere in the state. At least 1 per county, instead of 6 for the whole state. Wholly insufficient. The other is to please sign or create a resolution like the RNC resolution condemning Agenda 21. And then I would ask you to please consider making your own letter to the Office of Planning Advocacy and stating your dissatisfaction with the amount of public input there is to this process, and that we need significantly more at this point than we're getting right now.
Thank you, Shelley, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you being here. Okay, is there anyone else that would like to speak? Yes, sir. Yes. And then we'll revert back to Freeholder Bernie. Definitely want to respond. Yes, Steve.
Good evening. My name is Mark Terrible. I live in Aberdeen. I want to follow up what Shelley said with 2 points. In the last couple of weeks, I have driven to the location of every one of those 6 meetings, with the exception of Monmouth College, Monmouth University. I know from personal experience that they are quite far-flung. These are on weekday evenings. Someone, whose name I forget, I apologize, spoke to the difficulty of getting to an ordinary freeholder meeting for a meeting that's going to determine the future of property rights, property values of everyone in the state. That's simply not good enough. It's simply too difficult to get people to them. Never mind that there's not decent publicity given to them. Now, with regards to Agenda 21, and that is a UN agenda, I remind you, and I'm going to make a motion of appeal, which I know each one of you has heard before. When this meeting began, we pledged allegiance to that flag, not to the blue flag of the United Nations. And we spoke of a republic, not a democracy, but a republic, a nation of laws. And this nation of laws are not the UN. I ask that everyone, the people I'm addressing and the folks behind me in this room, bear that in mind when looking at this plan and how it is integrated or linked into something that came out of a hearing, a meeting at the UN, where most of the nations plainly are not friendly to the United States of America, to the Republic, or to its flag. Thank you.
Mark, thank you very much. Thank you. Appreciate that. Anyone else? Yes. Leo, I'll get you in a minute. I'm sorry. Yes. Do you want to?
I just wanted to comment.
Go right ahead, Freeholder.
No, I don't want to interrupt you.
That's all right.
Are you continuing with this?
No, back to the.
Well, then let me, if you don't mind.
No, you can stay. Could be lengthy.
No, just in response to Sherry, I did receive your email and I haven't had a chance to respond to it, but I will. I did want you to know, as any other concerned person with respect to this state plan, is that the planning board's leadership is working on this behind the scenes. They have petitioned Mr. Schauffenberger and continue to do so. They're also looking to examine the legality of the plan as presented. So do not lose hope, because there is activity behind the scene. And we do have a planning board meeting, I believe, coming up. Is it next week?
Yes.
So might very well be reporting on at that time. But I did want you to know that it hasn't been put on the shelf. Okay? You're welcome.
The floor is yours.
My name is Amy Humphries, I live in Fairhaven.
Hi, Amy.
Hi. I'm just got a small question about the pay-to-play. I was very pleased when the pay-to-play resolution was passed. That seemed to me a step up and a step in the right direction. And I'm wondering what the urgency was to repeal that when it seemed like such a positive move in the other direction. What would motivate you to rescind it as urgently and as quickly as you did, and what you feel the benefit is to us, the citizens of the county, by doing that?
Amy, we're going to have our legal counsel, Andrea Baser.
Okay, if I might, we've gotten a number of comments from different entities that want to do business with the county. We had an incident in November.
Adrian, excuse me, but you.
I'm sorry, picked up when you turned it back. Sorry. I apologize for having my back to you, but if I need to, okay. You're confused me. We had an incident in November where we had a qualified low bidder that was precluded. We had to ask them to either withdraw their bid or we would have had to throw it out. Because they didn't understand what our pay-to-play was. It was a total mistake on their part. It was 3 separate principals from a good company who
would have done a good job, who was a low bidder, and because of that, the taxpayers ended up paying more money for a project because we couldn't award to them because of just a misunderstanding with how our pay-to-play worked. And we had gotten a number of comments from different people who didn't understand our policy versus the state policy, and they were having problems doing business. We have 500 and I don't know how many municipalities and 21 counties, and a lot of them have different policies. And the board decided, as a group, to that it wasn't done rashly. It was something that had really created an issue for us because we felt that it wasn't a benefit to the taxpayers if we were losing low qualified bidders just based on mistake, and that was part of the genesis of what started the whole conversation.
Well, I'm just wondering if sometimes the high road is the hard road, but even though there were complications and difficulties in affecting a fair and equitable system, you don't just say, well, this is tough, I'm not going to do it because it's really hard for this bidder or that bidder, or even if it ends up costing you more money. I mean, the analogy I can make is, when your kids come home, when you're raising your children, and they say, well, Joey's doing drugs, or Mary goes to the mall at 10, do you say, oh yeah, okay, we'll do it, it's easier, I'll just say yes and you can do that? Or do you say, I'm gonna pay a price here, but I don't think you're ready to do that, and you suck it up and do what you have to do to make the system work fairly for the bidders and for the citizens as well. I mean, it might be harder, but isn't it better to do it the right way than to do it in a way that can lead to other problems that are bigger problems down the road?
I don't think that it being harder was the issue. I think it was confusion that was the issue, and people not being able to understand. I don't think it was a difficulty issue.
How could you have made them understand it so that it could have worked? I mean, is it a system that's so difficult to maneuver that I can't
provide legal advice. I represent the county. I couldn't provide legal advice to them on how
so
to deal with the
basically
policy.
what you're saying though is that it was just too complicated, too difficult, too hard to understand.
No, I mean, the law was the law was not sufficient enough to actually stop the wheeling that's taking place. And if you look at the elect reports, you'll find even people who have been candidates for Monmouth County Freeholder have totally disregarded, even though they may speak as if they abide by the law all the time. So there's a complete disregard there. We need to, I know we're going to make some statements shortly after everybody gets an opportunity to go and speak, but there is a deficiency in the existing law. There's a deficiency in the state law. And these are things that we're working to overcome, and I promise you they will be overcome. But we can't have what Ms. Baser just described happen from the legality and from the morality of doing business in Monmouth County. But I guarantee you it will be addressed. My pleasure. Thank you for being here.
I missed your last name and your town.
Humphrey.
From what town? Thank you so much.
Leo?
Good evening, Leo Casacco, 120 Route 1, Cranberry Court, Shady Oak, Trevor Plaza. I have three things I'd like to discuss and comment on the points if they're relevant and interesting to you, or if in the form of questions, please answer them. One is the Geraldine Thompson Care Center in the Monmouth County Care Center called the John L. You say it's cost us.
I'm sorry, we lost Freeholder Ridge. Our apologies.
I'm going to try to just speak
Yeah, I wanted to hear this. You may be the only one that goes the way I want. I'd rather lose 1 to 4 than 0 to 5.
Yeah, I'm sure it did.
No, we lost it. The call dropped. She texted me.
Hurry up.
It would be less noisy if we called in. There's a call out.
You back on?
I'm back, thank you.
Okay. Freeholder Rich is alive and well.
Leo wants you to hear what he's saying.
Good evening, Gary. This is Leo Christopherly from Shady Oaks and River Plaza. I spoke before when this first meeting of the John L. personnel attended in the courtroom other end of this building, and I think I made the point that the people who were speaking that night were good people. They were well-intentioned. Their presentations were compelling but not necessarily convincing. And I went on and said that they were appealing from compassion, and I said, please have compassion on the taxpayers. So then, of course, it's justice for all. My concern is, since there's $7,200,000 of subsidies supporting 2 care centers at the county level, how can you, do you have a plan to take care of the staff at these 2 places, the clients, the patients in these 2 places, and nonetheless get on with the business of reducing taxes by some $7 million? That's the dilemma. You don't have to address that now, but that's the question I have. I'd like to see $7 million saved, but I'd like to see all these people just as much taken care of in whatever transpires and the people having employment, because you can have people take care. I'd like to move on to the new budget. When will a proposed budget be publicized at a public meeting? So,
Mr. Marshall?
We'll be introducing the budget at the next Freeholders meeting, and we also have budget hearings on Tuesday with various departments in the county.
But there's no public comments of that, right?
Correct.
Okay. So what meeting will there be public comments?
23rd.
23rd. The next Freeholders meeting.
Here, in this room.
And hopefully we can address the issue of debt service, what exists and whether it will be increased or not. And I'd like to introduce what I've only discovered recently because of going to Board of Ed meetings out of Middletown, never heard of it. I've been reading in some books, and quite frankly, I don't want to pretend I understand it. Although here's one of my teachers, Craig Marshall. He's given me 2 private sessions, and that's on what's called pre-funding, advanced funding, refinancing, refunding, and I'm concerned about the money that's, to me, gets hidden in absent of liabilities. You have money that you borrowed, yet it's off the books somehow. On the books, but off the books. We're back to the invisible hand of the economy. That's my interest there, so I'll be returning to it. I would ask you to please, I gave to the clerk of the board, Marion, a copy to give to you. I would ask you to please read this. My concern is there's some reliable statistics there. It's like the commissions at the state level. They are empowered by our assemblies to allocate, appropriate $30 billion on top of the $30 billion that that they talk about as the governor's budget and whatnot. We're up to $60 billion. So somehow $30 billion is getting hidden by these 700 commissions throughout New Jersey. Well, similarly, we can have some money hidden by the federal government. According to this article by Terrence Jeffrey, $8 trillion was hidden from the public. Not that the Treasury Department didn't report it, because they did. October 1st, 2009 to September 30th, 2010, the U.S. Treasury said we have an encumbrance of about $8 trillion. They either roll it over or they refund it, whatever it is. They buy new bonds, they create new money out of nothing, and suddenly we have not a federal budget of, say, $3.5 trillion. We have a federal budget in 2010 of $11 trillion, and the public doesn't know that. And, if I didn't see this article, I wouldn't know it. I absolutely wouldn't know it. So my final question is, the state pay-to-play law, doesn't the state plan to create a pay-to-play law that will be applicable to all counties in New Jersey, and that this particular body that I'm standing before is not unilaterally making reverting back to a pre-existing pay-to-play law? Is that correct, my understanding?
Yes, it is. In fact, Governor Christie has some rather strong mandates that he's attempting to move through the legislature. And also to jump back on your point before, Leo, about money being hidden, that was one of my concerns in January 2011 when I became the Freeholder Liaison at Brookdale Community College. And I went with my aide at that point and went line item by line item. And there were some problems there. We called the prosecutor and the FBI. So you're absolutely right. There are a lot of hidden monies that I'm not saying necessarily Brookdale because that investigation is still underway, but if it's there, we're going to find it. And I know, again, the governor is proposing some very stringent measures in dealing with the authorities and the commissions, because they have been separate entities and authorities unto themselves, and that's got to stop. Far too much leeway.
Last question. Do you have a view, or would you care to express an opinion as whether under the State Economic Development Commission was originally created, that this pay-to-play is designed, or has the purpose, the good purpose of trying to aid and abet private sector, free enterprise work throughout the state? Is that part of the vision? I mean, there has to be some kind of foresight and forevision that this is going to promote, it would seem to me, the economy in the private sector and not in the public sector.
Leo, we truly appreciate your comments. We don't generally allow the board to be polled, but we do appreciate your
I
comments.
just asked the director, no one else.
Okay, but generally we don't usually the public would make comments too.
Leo, I'm a private businessman. I believe in the private sector. And I believe that we need to stimulate jobs. We need to do that through the private sector. Government cannot get any larger than it is. We need to take care of those individuals who have been promised pensions, because that was the commitment that was made oftentimes through arbitration with our labor unions. And we will honor those commitments.
Well, my last question, I express my view.
Thank you very much, Leo, for being here. Anybody else would like to come forward? Yes.
Can I talk to you twice? Okay, Shelley Kennedy, Atlantic Highlands again. Same sort of topic. I didn't have a chance, didn't have my thoughts clear on what I wanted to say about this document. This is the Millennium Papers by J. Gary Lawrence. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but there's a reason why you haven't heard of Agenda 21, because it was not being adopted locally fast enough, and the people behind it decided to change the terminology. When you hear why and what they were doing with this, it's not only frightening, it's outrageous. Just so you know, I want to connect a few strings for you. You say, what does this have to do with the UN? Well, it says local Agenda 21 down here, and there's a little icon. UNEDUK is United, that UN is for United Nations. And at the bottom of the inside front page, it talks about other UNEDUK, this is UK, this is actually United Kingdom, but there's parallel organizations in the United States as well. Earth Summit 2, which was a United Nations meeting. Earth Summit 2 Outcomes and Analysis, The Way Forward Beyond Agenda 21, they're using the term in their publication. Gender and Humanity into the 21st Century, a conference report. So this is all about control. And it's also all about obfuscating a conversation. As I said the terms have changed when the people behind this, who are what's called globalists, you can call it sustainabilists, it's a similar meaning, determined that local Agenda 21 wasn't being implemented fast enough. They decided to change the terminology for it. And here's why. In the case of the U.S., this is Gary Lawrence, the author writing, in the case of the U.S., our local authorities are engaged in planning processes consistent with local Agenda 21, but there is little interest in using the local Agenda 21 brand. Participating in a UN-advocated planning process would very likely bring out many groups and individuals in our society, such as the National Rifle Association, citizen militias, and some members of Congress. This segment of our society who fear one world government and a UN invasion of the United States through which our individual freedom would be stripped away would actively work to defeat any elected official who joined this conspiracy by undertaking local Agenda 21. So we call our processes something else, such as comprehensive planning, growth management, or smart growth. This is why the string of smart growth and comprehensive planning is always drawn. And if you look at about when the comprehensive planning boom started, was around 1999-2000, about the time when the American Planning Association wrote its Growing Smart multi-volume reference guide containing predetermined laws and plans that have been used for cookie-cutter solutions throughout the United States and every other country, nation, county, and municipality in the world. So again, I would just urge you to please draw the lines and the connections. There's a reason why this is happening. And at the county and municipal level, we actually are sovereign and we can do something about it. But it is up to you to take that step. It's up to you to be bold. Your citizens are angry and we want you to do this and we want you to be bold. So I would urge you to please take action against these forces. Protect your citizens as you swore in your oath you would do, defending the Constitution. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shelley. Excellent points. And Freeholder Berry has stated she's the liaison to the planning board that it would be brought up for discussion. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, anyone else? Heather? Daniel, we'll get to you.
I just wanted to clarify something. You said there was one incident in November and it was a bidded contract. The ordinance that I have that you passed does not apply to bidded contracts, so I just want clarification. Was it a professional service contract?
It was a professional service contract, I'm sorry.
Okay, I just want to make sure the public knew, the pay-to-play does not want to deter from the public bidding process, but pay-to-play, the practice happens because there is no rigorous bidding. Contributions can affect how someone gets a contract. And I don't think we should be throwing out, again, I'm going to just go back, if there's only one incident that you could speak of, let's try to prevent that from happening again, but we can't throw out 3 years of a good policy on one incident.
Thanks, Heather. Daniel, finally.
Thank you. Andrew Daniele from Farmingdale. Since Agenda 21 was brought up, I was at the last meeting where it was discussed more thoroughly. And since it was brought up again, I would just like to reinstate when it was discussed, the Board of Freeholders was, my interpretation, very enthusiastically opposing a global takeover of our property rights and our constitutional rights. So I would just like to reiterate that there are plenty of us that feel that that's very, very important, and we encourage the Board of Freeholders to back our constitutional rights. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Anyone else would like to address the board? Are there any freeholders that would like to comment? I know we have a number of subjects, including pay-to-play.
Can we do freeholder comments?
I think we're going to start off. We're going to start off. We, as a board, have drafted a statement. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh. And we have drafted a statement here as a board, and I have been the one to release that to you. And it would state as, thank you all for coming here tonight to express your opinion on what is a very important issue to you and to the entire Board of Chosen Freeholders. We take our responsibility to the public and specifically the taxpayers of Monmouth County very seriously. We did not make this decision to rescind the county pay-to-play resolution and adopt the state statute lightly. Nor is it our intention to conduct business any differently than we have in the past. We have all and will continue to award contracts only to the lowest qualified bidders. It was brought to our attention that the county pay-to-play resolution was created some uncertain process among bona fide contractors seeking to do business in Monmouth County and many of the other 20 counties and 567 municipalities in the state. We sought to eliminate that confusion by approaching the situation in a uniform manner. The Monmouth County Board of Chosen Freeholders supports pay-to-play reform. We believe there needs to be a uniform policy to ensure that taxpayers receive the services of the most qualified contractors and businesses at the lowest price, irrespective of anything else. The Freeholder Board firmly believes that the campaign reform is something that needs to continue to be addressed on a statewide uniform basis. This board endorses the governor's efforts to address comprehensive pay-to-play reforms statewide and urges the governor to continue tackling this important issue. We will be reaching out to the governor to make him aware of the sentiments of the board as to this issue. And as the board would like to say thank you for all the comments given tonight, and we do appreciate it, and this is something that we feel as strongly as the people here in Monmouth County feel. And like Freeholder Curley said before, these were some of the things that were being passed through us that we felt and decisions that we have to make, that we want to see the fairness through the county, and this is the process that we took. But we do all believe, and I guess we were all, together united on this, that change needs to be. There's no question about it. But I have to tell you, quite frankly, some of the changes that were being done on the face might have looked like things were going very good, but on the backside of it, they really weren't. And that's why some of these decisions were being made. Director?
Thank you very much, Freeholder Arnone, Deputy Director Arnone. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll now move to the report of the Freeholders. Freeholder Tomaso.
Thank you, Director. Well, I have to say, these past 2 weeks have been quite terrific. I had the opportunity to meet many county employees and visit the different facilities, and it's been quite a pleasant experience. I've been to the prosecutors with Freeholder Rich, and had the opportunity to go with Freeholder Burry to the John L. Montgomery nursing home or care. Is it nursing home? Is that the correct care center? And I have to tell you, that was truly a wonderful experience, and I was quite surprised by how well it was being run and how it is a family. I often say my grandmother was in a nursing home for 20 years, and for 20 years I didn't want to go there, not one day, and in 20 years nobody knew my name, but yet you all knew each other's names, and you knew that each one of the patients' names, and that really warmed my heart. I got to meet the DPW people. It's been a great 2 weeks, giving out some proclamations, and it's really been wonderful. On my committees, we did have, I did go to the Shade Tree Committee meeting, and our chair, Tom Ritchie, has returned, as well as in the MCIA, Al Rosenthal has returned as chair. And at the reclamation meeting, we discussed lots of things, seagulls and all kinds of good stuff. But we are going to start an initiative that we will have a detailed presentation at a future workshop, but it will be for latex paint, so we'll start it tonight, that you no longer have to recycle the latex paint at the Reclamation Center, and watch for additional information on that, on how you would just throw it out, either with Kitilator or drying it out. That's all I have. Thank you again for these great 2 weeks.
Thank you, Freeholder Tomaso. Freeholder Rich, did you have any comments via telephone?
Yes, Freeholder Director.
I was hoping not.
Does that mean I have to hold the mic for you?
I'm sorry, I can
That's okay, I'm teasing you.
I'm only teasing you, Dad. Go ahead.
I just wanted to reiterate that on the 14th, we will be having our it'll be our budget hearings in the conference room on the second floor. And also that I just want to compliment the workers, the staff at John L. Montgomery, having been through 2 in-laws that went through the nursing homes. They do a wonderful job over there. You can see the caring, the heartfelt work that they do. So I would also like
Freeholder Berry.
Thank you. I have a long list of feel-good reports, but I want to start with the two items that were the focus of our attention here. That does not include the state plan, which of course, Shelley, we will get into further with that at the planning board meeting. But at any rate, first, the care centers. I am a new member of the New Jersey Association of Counties. I was preceded in that position for many years by Rob Clifton. And I never fully appreciated what this organization does and what they're aware of. And I attended my first meeting, and I'm now on the legislative committee. And lo and behold, one of the top concerns that this committee has is the nursing homes in this county-run and owned nursing homes in New Jersey. And there is proposed legislation. And that's why I'm very happy that we're able to at least stall the actual, should we sell, should we lease, should we whatever, for some time, because I think there are solutions out there. And it's important that we explore them all, and we do it together. And my compliments, of course, go out to John L. and how beautifully you do things there. But the proposed legislation is in two different folds. One is a dedicated tax, which would be within the respective counties. This has not been refined yet, so once it is, I'm sure we'll get into it and examine it. And the other one, which I think would be something we can realize more quickly, and that is that we receive and realize some of the refunds from the Medicaid monies and payments that were taken away from us, if you will. And that's a big problem, because that's where a lot of the budgets really found their shortfall. So I just want those who are immediately affected by the care centers, and truthfully we all are, know that there is an awareness out there of the needs that need to be addressed. And I'm very optimistic that they will be addressed and be addressed properly. Interestingly enough, another item on the NJAC agenda is the State Medical Examiners Act, which concerns us here in Monmouth County. And this is a Senate Bill 2395 that, if it is indeed passed as it now stands, will impact on the way we run our medical examiner's office. Will impact on shared services, which I think we all have some concerns about, and it would be very similar to the prosecutor's office, in which it's the governor who would name the individual, and they would function almost totally under the head of that particular department. And we don't feel that this is in our best interest. So I'll keep you posted on that as well. The other item, of course, and I think that Freeholder Unknown did address it well, and that is the pay-to-play. I'm probably the only freeholder sitting up here that was involved in putting through that original piece of legislation. And at that time, I felt that it should be something that should come from the state, that there should be a state standard set, because with everything else, anything that the state has, rules and regulations, they supersede anything that we're doing on the county level or on the local level. But for some reason, this is one area in which they didn't do their homework. And I think we're kind of forcing their hand, if you will, and asking them to do this and do it right, and do it for the entire state. I guess I'm saying I ran under that pay-to-play. I ran 3 times, was prior to it actually being put in one of the times. So I was able to function, I functioned well under it, and I think we could continue to function well with the way it was written. But I think there's a reason, and the reason being that there's a necessity that it be equalized throughout the state of New Jersey. It's important enough for us to make that statement. But anyway, Director, I do have a number of other things if you would indulge me.
You're certainly indulged.
Thank you.
What choice do I have?
None.
You heard it, none.
Under library news, on Sunday, March 4th, an educational food festival entitled Food for Thought. And that's food is science, food is culture, food is career, food is community service. And what is on your plate is being presented by the New Jersey Center for the Books and Monmouth County Library. This is a collaborative effort, a program on the part of these two entities. And the keynote speaker will be the renowned American chef, David Burke of Fromagerie Rumson. And also featured will be John Bon Jovi's Soul Kitchen, in which his wife will be there to address the crowd as well. And a young lady by the name of Chloe Rosen, who's a national award-winning chef of the Next Generation Chefs, will also be there. There'll be a substantial showcasing of Monmouth County's food industry. We'll have Sickles Market from Little Silver, Wegmans, and Trader Joe's, and there'll be educational exhibits being given by the Monmouth County Historical Association, the Center's State Fitness and Wellness Center, and Rutgers University. So as you can see, it's really quite an ambitious program, and this will be on March 4th. It's a Sunday from 12:30 to 4:30. So I say, and it's free. That's the thing. Elder at the Manalapan Library. The second thing would be under the tourism heading here in Monmouth County. Secretary Fisher from the Ag Board of the state came to help us celebrate the 100th anniversary of Delicious Orchards, and we did it collectively. All the freeholders were there, as well as state legislators, and Delicious Orchards is a huge supporter of Jersey Fresh, and that's our state's brand for locally grown, high-quality produce. And we had the opportunity to tour the retail operation, and it's really quite remarkable what goes on behind those closed doors. A lot of little elves at work. And then the packing facility, which is located on 537 and Laird Road, is sited on the original 100 acres, which are now Eastmont Orchards, and that is the Barclay family. There were two generations of Barclay families that were present there at this celebration, and they're the ones that started Delicious Orchards. But the present owners are Bill and Linda McDonald. And I have to say that Linda McDonald made a point of saying, thank you so much for the wonderful park system that we have. I don't know what I would do with my grandchildren if I didn't have it. So it was nice to have them recognize something that we do when we're so indebted to what they've done. And there's another very ambitious event which is planned, and it's called the Open Space Pace, which will be held in September at the Freehold Racetrack. And it will be complete with horse parade, everything equine, musical concerts, fireworks, races, involvement of local businesses, and the whole idea is to benefit the New Jersey Sire Stakes program, which, as we might know, I know, is going downhill very quickly. And the whole idea here is to improve their purse money so the horses can continue to be bred here in New Jersey rather than the adjoining states. And this will help to maintain the farms, the pastures, the boarding facilities, and open space in this county. The agricultural annual dinner will be February 25th. And I have one last thing, which I think we're kind of anxious to know what progress, if anything, has been made there, and that's Bradley Cove in Asbury Park. This is a parcel of land that certain citizens in Asbury have asked the park system to look at and possibly acquire and put into our park system. So what has been done to date is that we have an appraiser who has come up with a price of what this is going to cost us. And it's two separate reports. One is for the strip of beachfront property, and the other is for the triangle. And prior to giving them the carte blanche to go ahead with the appraisal, we thought it more appropriate that the council that they had, that the park system had, just look into the legalities of acquiring these properties. And that's my report.
Thank you very much, Freeholder Murray. Deputy Director Arnett. Thank you. Just a few short items. The Workforce Investment Board has received a grant from the Department of Labor of $543,000 to oversee connecting green businesses with trained job seekers. Up to $4,000 is available for each qualified new hire rate. On February 1st, there was an open house at the Division of Workforce Development for a local business, Sakova, who has 80 positions they're looking to fill. Over 70 qualified job seekers were seen, and many were offered jobs right on the spot. So that was a real special day there, because as we all know, in these economic times, it's nice to see people walking out of a facility like that smiling. So something that was something we were very proud of, and I know our Workforce Investment Board was. Last night, the sheriff and myself hit the tour again, trying to sell our shared service programs, and hopefully, we don't know if we were, but possibly we were successful in Seagirt by moving there. And we've been pretty much hitting municipalities, trying to let them and give them welcome arms to the municipalities to show how we can have some sort of tax relief with sharing services. We did create our first shared service newsletter, and we encourage all those who receive those through municipalities and on the state level to review that and contact our office when need be. Our Grow Monmouth meetings are continued with very positive response. The Economic Development Office has now had over 100 requests for assistance from different businesses. And on March 31st, Economic Development, along with the Eastern, Northern, Southern, and Greater Monmouth Chamber of Commerce and Monmouth Ocean Development Council will host a new event called Made in Monmouth. The event will showcase consumer products that are made in Monmouth County. The public will be invited to Monmouth University for this really terrific event. And then lastly, I'd just like to address our Department of Public Works and Engineering, and a lot of this was under the leadership of Director Curley when he was liaison to that department. But it's a short statement that I have to read that I think is very important, and it's obviously important to our tax base here in the county too. Although Hurricane Irene is now history and our residents have long returned to their daily routines, the Department of Public Works and Engineering has been extremely busy preparing volumes of reports and documentations for FEMA and federal highways to justify reimbursements for the damage to county roads and bridges. As a result of Hurricane Irene, 82 road and bridge structures were affected, along with the issues of water-saturated garbage at the Reclamation Center and tons of brush. As Director Curley reported last year, all roads and bridges were repaired and opened to vehicles within 1 week, and the remaining 4 bridges were completed within the next 2 weeks. The efforts of the Public Works and Engineering Department were really fabulous, and I commend you guys for that. However, there was an easy part. The FEMA Federal Highways process involved detailed documentation on each repair with engineering justification. I am pleased to report the Department of Public Works and Engineering has received $877,000 to date. By the end of February, another $215,000 worth of worksheets will be submitted to FEMA for reimbursement. On February 1st, the department submitted 39 reimbursement requests to the FHWA for a total of just shy of $3 million. All of this will total just over $4 million. On the behalf of the Board of Chosen Freeholders, I would like to thank and commend the project team of James Serrato, Tim Ryan, and Ray Bragg, along with John Tabia and Joey Tour, for this remarkable effort. FEMA has stated Monmouth County is by far the most advanced, efficient, and proactive county in New Jersey dealing with FEMA reimbursements. So I'd like to commend that department. Thank you.
Thank you, Freeholder.
That's my report there.
Thank you very much, Deputy Director. Ladies and gentlemen, I am very annoyed this evening to make a point. A former freeholder, Freeholder Mallet, headed up social services for 3 years. And if you read in the Asbury Park Press, our food stamp program, which is a federally funded program, was put on hold. The freeholders and the administrator were not made aware that there was a shortage of individuals in dealing with this food stamp program in helping those individuals who were applying for food stamps. We had fallen behind over 3 months, and that was something that I will not tolerate as Freeholder Director and Liaison now to Human Services. I declared a food stamp emergency. We are hiring immediately, and this was at the request of Charles Brown, Director of Human Services, that we get 5 people. We hired 5 part-time people to move in and get that program moving. It's our responsibility to serve each and every person in this county. And as I said before, no citizen of Monmouth County will go hungry. After just 1 month, we're making tremendous strides in the department, and I salute Charlie Brown and all of the employees. I've gotten around to meet so many of the employees, and it's just a phenomenal effort you're putting forth in very difficult economic times. Ladies and gentlemen, to dovetail, the Food Bank of Monmouth and Ocean County needs your support, and they are donations. You can donate food, you can donate money, you can donate your time, and I urge you to please reach out and help your fellow human being survive. For every dollar donated to the food bank provides 3 meals. And the easiest way to get information as to the location of the food pantries and donation procedures is to go to their website. That's www.foodbankmoc.org. I urge you to do so. If you have any further questions, you're certainly welcome to contact my office. From the Division of Transportation, the Freeholders passed a resolution that allowed Y&H carriers to end the contract with our Division of Transportation. This resulted in a $4,929 savings in the department since January 2012 versus the cost incurred in January 2011. Drastic. The same amount of residents were transported by the SCAT service at a substantial savings to the taxpayers. The State Department of Health and Senior Services has issued a Certificate of Achievement to the Monmouth County Health Department for satisfactory compliance with public health standards. A performance evaluation was conducted at the Monmouth County Health Department on March 24th of 2009. There were 2 areas which were needed for corrective action: workforce development and annual community public health meeting. After review of the corrective action plan, it was determined that it qualified for a Certificate of Achievement with a satisfactory performance evaluation rating for all the assessed standards and measures within the time frames established by the New Jersey Department of Health and Senior Services. I had the opportunity of attending the Freehold First Aid dinner dance. I presented a proclamation on behalf of you, the 665,000 residents of this great county, and of the 5 members of the Monmouth County Board of Chosen Freeholders. And we certainly salute our volunteers. They are the fabric that puts this nation together, and we'll continue to work with them in any way that we possibly can. Also, to go back to the point of Freeholder Berry regarding Delicious Orchards, that was a wonderful opportunity to meet just a phenomenal family, ladies and gentlemen. The McDonald family not only run a thriving business, a landmark here in Monmouth County, but they give so much in food and donations to the needy. And I thank them and I salute them. And I thank Freeholder Berry for bringing that point up this evening. And then Monmouth County Human Relations Commission, Monday, February 6th, honored Colleen Volpe with the Earl Teasley Humanitarian Award for her 20 years of volunteer work at the center in Asbury Park. The center is a volunteer-based not-for-profit that provides support services for people living with HIV/AIDS, including permanent residence to 25 individuals and emergency placement for homeless people. And as I said that day, we should all emulate Colleen Volpe and the efforts that the late Earl Teasley had put forth during his tenure. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you for being here. Our freeholders are your freeholders. We may not always agree on all points, but we will work hard for you to meet your needs as taxpayers and residents. I serve as a full-time freeholder. I am there. I have a wonderful administrative assistant as a red coat tonight, Joanne Denton, and she is certainly there. I return all phone calls, so please feel free. And please feel free to contact any of our freeholders regarding anything that was on the agenda tonight, any subject that was discussed tonight, and certainly any subject that we can be of aid to you in Monmouth County. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much again for being here.
Can I just come up for 1 more second?
JJ? Yes, absolutely. Come on up.
Just to get back to play for a second. Going back, rescinding pay to play, and now you're going to follow whatever the state open fair thing is. That is riddled with loopholes. It's so weak. It hasn't worked for 40 years, and it's not going to work now. It seems like we're punishing ourselves to take a better law that we had to be an example for the state, to take it away so that we teach them a lesson so that they do a better job and formulate a better plan. It makes no sense at all. You did answer one of my questions when I asked why you did this. You said, or legal services said that you had some problems. You can have a problem with one person. You can have a problem with several people. It's your job then to make sure that our website and that we have help for the people that call, that have to deal with the difference in these plans. That's your job, okay? So you don't take something good away, stronger, that maybe the state could have looked to for, as an example, just to say, well, now let the state do what they have to do. It makes no sense at all. It's a slap in the face, I believe, to the taxpayers.
I appreciate your comments. The problem is...
Thanks for letting me come up again.
My pleasure, JJ. It's always nice to see you. The problem is it just was not one situation. There's an epidemic problem within the existing pay-to-play law, and that needs to be addressed. We needed to find a level playing field at this juncture until the state and Monmouth County can strengthen theirs so candidates for freeholders or other freeholders will not disobey the law. And unfortunately, it's falling apart. I appreciate your comments, certainly, and everything that everyone stated tonight will be given full consideration as we move forward. Yes, if you may.
Yeah, may I ask? I just want to.
Yes, you have to come up and identify yourself.
May I speak from here?
Actually, the public, no, you have to come up and identify yourself. Public session is closed, but please feel free. Please feel free.
Hi, my name is Linda Bound, Maycourt, Middletown.
Hi, Linda.
Hi. You had given one example for, going to the state rules and abandoning the county strong pay-to-play regulations. You mentioned there was one contractor that was not given, that had the lowest bid, but you had to forego. What was the name of that contractor, can I ask?
Legal counsel, I don't know the name of the contractor.
That was the one example that you gave.
No, I do know the name of the entity, but they withdrew their bid, so that wouldn't be part of the public record at this time. They had withdrawn their bid. So, but that wasn't the only issue that we had. That was an example that I gave because it was a little. That would have been the lowest bid in that situation. It wasn't a bid, it was a competitive, it was a fair and open process, but that was a situation where under other circumstances they would have probably received the award and it did cost the taxpayers money. That was an example that I had given. That wasn't the only issue that we had. We had other complaints and issues involving our resolution. But that was just an example I was trying to give that it just showed some of the problems.
Okay, I would be interested in knowing those other examples specifically? I mean, not necessarily here, but if you could provide them at some point.
Absolutely, and I would suggest too that you look at the ELEC reports and look at the wheeling that's taken place over the years.
Thank you.
And wheeling is something we need to stop. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Yes, Linda, one more.
Linda Johnson from Neptune, New Jersey. And listening to the panel this evening, because I live in Neptune, I'm close to Asbury Park, I grew up in Asbury Park. For the last 2 weeks, there's been 10 shootings. There's been nothing said about that. Is there any kind of task force, anything that can deal with this? I mean, you have in Monmouth County an area where people are intimidated, that they're afraid. 10 shootings in 2 weeks, and there's nothing said. Who is looking at this?
Prosecutor, ma'am. The prosecutor's office is involved.
I understand because it's a criminal thing, but I would think that is there a task force or something within Monmouth that you as directors know about and can report back
I'll tell
to
you what,
people?
if you give a telephone number to my confidential aide, I will call the prosecutor and we'll get back to you.
Okay, just so you understand, criminal investigatory issues are not something that they make public for reasons of being secure and to protect the people that are involved, but just rest assured that I can tell you that they are investigating these actively.
I would understand that they would be investigating them, but it's from the concept of making people, there's something other than the criminal system dealing with what is causing in shootings and shootings. That's all.
Linda, if you just hold on, I'm going to ask Sheriff Sean Golden to come up. I know he has some comments.
Director, I'll set up a meeting with her and the prosecutor, and we can talk about what we're doing. And again, there are some security issues with regard to task force, and we do have a joint gang task force and a joint drug task force, but I don't want to speak specifically about their operations on the record. But we will set up a meeting right after.
Thank you.
Sheriff, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Linda, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you. We have a motion to adjourn.
And I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Gary. Bye-bye, Gary.
County Freeholders